about $1 million, a little bit more. And I couldn't be happier if that keeps water out of my basement, but to be honest, I don't want to siphon any of the money of the $5 million that we passed last week for the clean water infrastructure and bathing water for those people in other areas of the town, so that I don't have to use my sump pump. I think that $5 million that we approved last meeting should stay with those people. And I've lived on Silver Lake probably longer than anybody else in town except for maybe June Siemens and Priscilla Martin. And in the 50s and 60s, that lake overflowed. I remember swimming in it with my brothers during the summer after big storms. And that's the reason that riprap concrete was put around it in the 60s to stop the flooding. But also in the mid-60s, they dredged it and made it deeper. And for years, we didn't have any flooding until, more recently. And I think if we, with the berm, but I think we need to deepen the lake also, along with the A Street line. Because I think, especially on that west end of the island, it's really, really shallow. Because when I go in there with the kayak, you get stuck in the mud. And I think that's part of the reason why we're flooding up around D Street, 8th Avenue, 9th Avenue, the First Aid building, because the water just can't get into the lake. It's just not deep enough. And I don't know how to get around that because the environmental rules that prevent you from, taking mud out. Yeah, I'd like to see my basement dry, not have to worry about it. And I think the 8th Street line is a good answer. But I think we have to be patient. I think we have to be positive that FEMA is going to come through for this because it's definitely necessary. But I don't want to jump the gun and then forfeit the $800,000 contribution they would make to us for that. So, again, a hurricane in July, August, I don't know.
Would you go with, if we don't hear anything about October, we could agree to go out for more bonds for $1.1 million to get this done?
Boy, $1 million is a lot of money.
Not by this budget.
No, well, the higher the budget, then the more that $1 million looks to have to take. But money's cheap right now. Our bond rate, our AA bond rating is good. We're probably paying interest at about 0.9%. So the money is cheap. So if we do have to bond money, now's the time to do it. But we have to look at it. If the government can pay us $800,000, why don't we wait and see if they'll come through?
Because we've been waiting since before 2011. We need to address both lakes as soon as possible. And with the federal money available, now is the right time for us financially. Mayor Matt Doherty, 10/13/2011. I'm not busting balls saying they're not getting stuff done. I'm saying, look, they get to pump out their basements looking at the new buildings on Taylor Pavilion. Let's get the money for this. Let's set a date. If the money's not here from the federal government by a certain month, let's do it.
This sounds kind of silly, and I don't know, it's probably so you can see where I'm coming from. I come from a family of 9 brothers and sisters, so 8 times a year I saw people open birthday presents that weren't going to be mine. So I think this $5 million belongs to other people in town, and you know what? I just have to wait till my birthday. I've got to be patient. I'm going to be positive that we're going to get it, and
All right. So
I do want to see it done.
All right.
And I'd like to encourage them to also dredge the lake.
So basically, we have to wait for FEMA to pay us before we move on this. Is that correct?
I think that's a prudent thing to do.
Well, it's not that they pay us for it, it's that it has to be approved. And like you said, we will find out hopefully in short order if it's going to be chosen, and hopefully it is, and then we'll move forward. But these artificial deadlines don't make a lot of sense. And I would just caution you that we're still in a public meeting. So,
That's all I have, thank you.
next are petitions. Any petitions for the mayor and council? None. Reports of council. Councilman McGovern with a shorter.
Shorter, much shorter. I spent all afternoon getting this ready. Okay. The beach report. Again, a lot of rain. Over 10 inches of rain in the month of June. So everything is down, obviously. And we're comparing it to last year, 2012, which was the second best year we've ever had. I wish I had the figures to compare it to 2009, when that month of June also had 10 inches of rain, but not quite as much as this year. So, to cut to the quick, total receipts for this year so far, for the month of June, $1,300,962. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. However, last year, 2012, excellent year, great Memorial Day, $1,585, $548. So we're behind about $280,000.
If Ryan, repeat that, Mr. 1,000, 1 million point.
1 million, yes. We're $1,300,962 this year. Last year, 2012, which was an exceptionally good year, $1,585,548. And again, many towns along the shore would just love to have our down numbers. I was at the Harbor Commission meeting this past week. I met with Captain Heisman, and he explained that he needs a need for speed bumps in the marina. Apparently what a lot of people do, I don't know if any of you have the audience, they use 7th Avenue to get into the marina. And they go through real quick to avoid the Highway 35 light at 8th Avenue and 10th Avenue. So in order to slow down that traffic, he would like some speed bumps. You do it?
Jennifer Nicolai does that.
So I went to Robin Kirk to find out if there's money available in the marina. She said there was. So I told Drew, and Drew will be getting in touch with you, Robin. And I think for safety reasons, because especially during July and August, with so many people at the 9th Avenue Pier riding their bicycles, that could really, Chief, do you agree that those speed bumps would be?
No, I'm there every day. I'm flying.
Yeah, okay, so I think that's a necessary expense that shouldn't be FEMA approved. All right, as I said, I was going to talk to you about the A Street line and Silver Lake. However, I will just show you 2 photographs, I'll pass them out, of 2 of our Department of Public Works guys in the lake. Doing terrible, Mike, what did they do wrong? You had to punish them? Okay.
They weren't employees of the month.
They weren't. Okay, the one thing I will say this guy Sal Suselli, he was on my Little League team, and I remember one time wanting to substitute him into a Little League game, and he wasn't on the bench, so I couldn't put him in. Saw him about an inning later, and there he was, eating a cheeseburger and French fries in the dugout. But that's probably why he's in the lake right now. You can just pass these out so you people can see, look, obviously we have workers like this that aren't just doing it for the money. There's 2 great photographs that Paul Fenrath took. So that's great. It's great DPW. Mike, make sure you tell my pass around their picture and embarrass
I
Sal.
certainly will.
Okay.
And I'll tell them about the cheeseburger.
Thank you, Councilman. Council President.
Yes, thank you. I just want to comment about the beach revenues. I believe it was 2009 when it rained 21 of 30 days, and I believe we still made well over $2 million. I could be wrong in saying this, but my husband was a beach director here in Belmar back maybe 40 years ago. My children were very little. In fact, I was expecting my first child when I got the job. And he said, you get excited about the rain, but look at the figures at the end of the season. Because those are the ones that you want to look at. So worry about, you worry about rain, are we going to, increase our beach utility? All that's very, very important, but 2009, because I was on council then. It came on in 2008. 21 of 30 days it rained, and we still did very, very well. And even now, if you look at the figures, for all that rain, we have over $1 million. Moving right along, I am very, speaking about the beach, I'm very ecstatic about having my $15 senior badge. I go to the beach. I go to the beach every day the sun shines. I go very early in the morning because I don't have a lot of time. I go at 8 or stay till 10 with a cup of coffee. It's just beautiful. But I sit there and think, thank you for this badge. MOVE, which stands for the Manasquan Organization of Volunteer Effort, which has included Belmar, is going forward with identifying individuals who are still in need of services due to Hurricane Sandy. Since I sit on the executive board of this organization, residents can reach out to me if they are still in the process of long-term recovery. And if you know of anyone in such a circumstance, please contact me with information at ctd@verizon.net, and you can call me on my home phone, 681-0522. 681-0522 if you know of anyone who is in dire straits due to Sandy. Also, along these lines, I met with Maureen Mulligan and Linda Carvalho of Habitat for Humanity. They asked for a meeting with me. This agency is also offering its services to our residents still suffering from the effects of Sandy. You can contact our social services director, Kelly Williams, for more information about Habitat, and she has the forms, necessary forms to be completed if you would like their services. The Order of the Friendly Sons of the Shillelagh of the Jersey Shore is hosting a thank you party for the first responders during Sandy. This is a thank you party for firefighters, first aiders, police, public works, and the water rescue team. The event will take place on Saturday, July 13th from 1 to 6 at the Shillelagh Clubhouse on 16th Avenue. Also, as Councilman McGovern had mentioned, our Harbor Commission meeting. He and I are the council people who sit on that committee. We discussed the ongoing electrical problems still existing on EDOC and the rebuilding of the wooden and concrete docks. A meeting is being planned with Colleen Connolly, our VA, and all of the heads of departments at a date yet to be named to have a discussion regarding various topics concerning the harbor. And as I said, we don't have a date yet, but all these issues that come up at a harbor meeting could be very easily solved if we sat together. So that's what we're proposing. And Brian and I will be working on that. I'm so pleased, I can't tell you how pleased I am that we have a resolution on our consent agenda supporting the borough's wish to have an ADA compliant platform or ramp at our train station. And there, Brendan has been very, very helpful there too, Brendan Reed. While money was cited as this issue that we can't presently expect the ramp for New Jersey Transit, we're not throwing in the towel easily. If half of the 164 stations in the state have these handicapped ramps, why shouldn't Belmar be one as well? Please don't forget our Choose Your Cover free skin cancer screenings event on Saturday, July 20th from 10 to 2 under the tent on the beach at 5th and Ocean Avenues. The program is being sponsored by the Ocean Monmouth Health Alliance and the Centra State Healthcare System. Mayor's Wellness Campaign, which I chair, is handling all the details locally to ensure that the program is successful. Also, beginning this Sunday, the 7th, there will be our book signings, a new event to Belmar, an exciting event, by New Jersey authors at the Belmar Plaza. Sherry Sanford of the Paperback Exchange is working with Mary Rabazon and me with this event. They will be held each Sunday throughout the summer with appearances by different authors each week. In the case of inclement weather, once again, we have Chris Randall, who's always so community-minded and supportive. The events will be held in a Randall restaurant located on the plaza. I just have to say something else. Belmar Women's Club did not have a home because we lost the pavilion. We had our meetings and card parties every Friday at Granville's Restaurant because he saw the need to help us, and we just can't. We thank him implicitly. We appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to Carol Capoli of the Circle of Friends, HIDAS, which stands for Helping Young Down Syndrome Adults, and Mary Brabzon again, and our Social Services Director, Kelly Williams, dances for our special needs teens and young adults will be held here in the Borough Gym Wednesdays beginning July 10th. I think the starting time is 6, Mary, or 6:30?
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
6. One has only to attend one of these dances to experience the joy these events bring to our young people. Belmar's participation in the Boardwalk Challenge has been fantastic. We are partnering with the Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield on this event. Pedometers will again be read this coming Monday, July 8th, starting at 9:30 a.m. at First and Ocean Avenues. In the event of bad weather, the readings will be taken at Borough Hall. And I can't thank, I also have to cite Ray Claudio, who's been a wonderful help and a big part of this event. So I'm very, very grateful to him as well. And also, people are very excited about this walking program. We have people coming out, and we still have people signing up. And here's the thing. If we get the most miles and steps recorded, we get a lunch provided by Horizon Blue Shield Blue Cross. We're in competition now, I understand, with Long Range. That's breathing right down our necks. But we're going to really work hard to win. I have another, just on another note, and this is the end, so thank you for being patient with my report. Our summer recreation program, which began this past Monday, is being held under the large tent on the beach at 5th and Ocean Avenue. According to Colleen Dillon, who heads this program, the situation is working well. The children love being on the sand, and the activities are designed with the location in mind. In the case of inclement weather, a detailed communication system, which includes our Belmar police, has been developed with the parents, so we thank the police for that. Also, Ray Claudio, our recreation director, helped set up the program. And finally, I'm finished.
Thank you, Council President. Councilman Meade.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tomorrow, July 4th at 9 a.m. on the Freehold, on the steps of the Borough Hall in Freehold, they're doing their annual reading of the Declaration of Independence. And I encourage everybody to go out. Again, it's 9 o'clock on the steps of the Borough Hall in Freehold. I will definitely be there with my family. Claire, did you do Military Appreciation Day? Did you know
No,
something?
I did not, so
Okay.
I left something for somebody else.
Okay. Military Appreciation Day tomorrow. I'm sorry. It is Saturday and April 9 o'clock. Is that what time it starts? 11 o'clock at what beach? At 5th Avenue Beach, 11 to 4, Saturday, Military Appreciation Day. Very last, the letter that went out on Ocean Ave, believe it or not, I really had nothing to do with. The press release is mine, that I believe was included in that letter. But I wanted to say, the press release is correct, and I am still burning that we don't have meetings the third Wednesday in November because this is the day before Thanksgiving. And it's the day before a major holiday. Okay, you want to have a meeting, I got it, and then they put the budget on, and then they add on the presentation, which everybody wanted their say on it. When we had the boardwalk meeting, this place was packed. There were people sitting on the floor. And I'm sure if we would have scheduled this differently, we probably would have had the same turnout, but other people have plans. I have people, relatives right now at my house waiting on me to get done with the meeting. And I just want to remind the mayor and council that we should schedule our meetings around the people we work for, the public, and what their schedule works for them, not necessarily what works for us. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman.
Yeah, mine's a little bit long, but never as long as Claire's. I'm just kidding.
That's all right, sweetheart.
I'm just going to touch quickly on recreation, DPW, and BDP. Recreation, I do want to comment that Ray Claudio is doing a tremendous job. Claire did cover the Boardwalk Challenge. Also want to mention that there's just many things for people in town to do. If you want to visit Belmar.com, just some things that I know my family takes advantage of. Toddler time, open gym, arts and crafts, surf camp, skimboard camp, everything's kind of listed up there. So there's plenty to do. For DPW, as you can see, they're always busy as can be. They've got their normal worksheet orders, but this week they did brush pickup, lines on Ocean Avenue are painted, palm trees are up, which I love. New storm drain on First Avenue, they repaired a storm drain on 8th and D. Demolition and construction, unfortunately, on the Arts Council building. It was damaged, but it's being rebuilt, that's the good part. They pumped out both lakes, they finished the firehouse construction at Union Firehouse, replaced mulch with the sand at the boardwalk curbs. My son keeps playing in them, so I apologize, I'm trying to keep it in. Tents were placed on the beach, placed solar panels and concrete footings for the pay stations. I don't know if anybody's used the pay stations yet, I used them twice today. They were extremely easy, gives you a nice little ticket, and you're done. Again, plus the regular duties that they do. For the BVP, I am liaison between council and this Belmar Business Partnership. We had a cruise night on June 20th. It's the third Thursday of every month, and it was a tremendous success. We had a ton of people. They stayed till the very end. There was music. There was a balloon guy making balloons, so that was fun. And again, they will take place on the third Thursday of each month, July 18th, August 15th, and September 19th. They are also participating, as you know, in the Employee of the Month, which Bruce received. The BVP is giving the $100 gift certificate to the Employee of the Month, and it is to be used at the businesses within town, which I think is a great use of that. Aerial advertising banners for Belmar has been very well received and will continue through the month of August. The You Are Here and the maps that were damaged during Sandy are being replaced, created and replaced. And the BVP is launching a curb appeal project to offer assistance to vacant storefronts and property owners, and more details to follow. I just want to touch on something personal, but certainly nothing that I'm unable to discuss, but I recently was diagnosed with breast cancer, and the reason I'm saying it is because I have to stress the importance of mammograms, the importance of early detection, and the importance of just saving your life. So take it seriously.
I just want to say, Jennifer, you and I are sisters in this.
Yep.
And I was diagnosed, but was already a grandmother.
I was told I was young. I'm never
Yeah,
been
you
told I'm
are.
young for anything, so.
You are young, and I admire you because you have so much more on your plate than I did when I was diagnosed.
But it honestly was down through just annual
That's right.
mammogram, and the people that I've been talking to, I can't tell you the number of people my age and older that have never received one, and I think they're playing with fire. So please, anybody you know, female, male, it's extremely, extremely important. So please, spread the word.
Mine also was detected in that. So, I love you.
I have another point, especially after. Next is approval of the minutes.
There it is. I got it right. That's fabulous. I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 19th, 2013 be approved as recorded, and a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second.
Councilmember Bacon?
Yes.
Councilman Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Midway?
Yes.
Mayor Barry?
Yes. Next is our presentation on the 2013 municipal budget. This was introduced about a month ago, June 5th, and at that time is when we scheduled the hearing for today in accordance with state statute. This has been on today's agenda since that time for 30 days. You want our CFO, Robin Kirk, wants to take over?
I'll do a quick overview of the budget as a whole, show you some slides that give you kind of a 5-year history, or you can leave, please go home. After that, they'll be opened up for public comments. I also public comment period on our budget. So once I'm done presenting, the mayor and council will open up for public comment. As an overview of our budget, the total budget for the year is $24,653,221.26. Our budget is broken down into 4 separate budgets. The current fund budget, which runs the majority of the operations within the borough, picks up the garbage, the police department, things like that, is $15,050,000, The water and sewer utility, $3,502,882.05. The beach utility, $5,948,421.34. And the parking utility, $151,500. And if everybody doesn't know it, the parking meters are now on. And the police have gadgets now where they know when you haven't paid for them. So as we're going through the slides, you will actually see a chart on each slide that shows our budget progress over the past 5 years. As you can see in our 2013 budget as a whole has gone up a little bit, and I will explain in each budget what any major increases are. The first budget we'll go through is the current fund. In accordance with the state of New Jersey, we actually have to do a best practices checklist now, and this presentation has been prepared in accordance with that. Our actual budgets are broken into several different categories in compliance with the state of New Jersey. For the current fund, we have other expenses as our highest portion of our budget is $7,238,215.98. That is the blue line on the chart. As you can see, that did tick up a little bit. The major reason for that is we did have a $217,000 increase in our insurance. Majority of that was for our health insurance. And we also had about a $62,000 increase in our pension bill this year. So that was the larger increases on our other expenses. The next line item is our salary and wages, $4,674,620. That is like the birthday line there. As you can see, that's actually been staying steady. We actually have had a little bit of a reduction in our workforce over the past 5 to 10 years. But through retirements, things like that, we have replaced some, but with the lower cost after retirements, we've been able to hold the budget steady for our salary and wages. The next line is our capital and debt. That is the yellow line. As you will see, that is ticking up as compared to previous years. We have increased our debt payments by approximately $500,000 this year. That is money that we have received from either FEMA or through insurance proceeds. And we are actually starting to pay off some of those hurricane expenses that we've all been talking about. So $500,000 of that is in the budget this year. The next line is the reserve for uncollected taxes. That is the aqua colored line. That's actually kind of staying kind of steady. What that is unfortunately not everybody pays their taxes, but we have to pay the school and the county whatever they are due from your tax bill. So what we have to do is in the budget is anticipate what people might not pay us to cover what we still have to pay to the school and the county. So that line is in there to basically kind of pay ourselves. The last line is the library budget. This actually shows up separately on your tax bill now as of 3 years ago, but it is part of our current fund budget. The total for that is $533,695.19. That is an actual amount by statute that we have to appropriate for the library. Again, you'll see that's kind of stayed steady over the last year. It's based on the assessments of the town. Okay. The next portion would be the opposite side. How do we pay for all of this? Would be our revenues. The first line you'll see is the blue line. That is the amount to be raised by taxation. There is no tax increase in this budget. The amount we will actually be billing to our residents this year is actually $52,000 less than we billed in previous years. The next line down is our local revenues. That's all of our a lot of our other major revenues. Your construction permits, your fees and permits, your mercantile licenses, things as that. That's $4,672,200. As you will see, that is the burgundy line, has ticked up. Part of that is the community disaster loan that the mayor and council actually authorized a couple of meetings ago. This is money that will come in from FEMA. $1.4 million of it was dedicated to the current fund. If for some reason our other revenues, things like our marina revenues, our port revenues, other items within the budget do not hit what we would normally hit in other years, we have this loan to fall back on. So that's why you'll see that line slightly going up, because we do have this kind of backup plan for revenue to come in from FEMA if our revenues don't hit this year. Next line down is our surplus. That is the yellow line there. Currently in this year's budget, we are anticipating $750,570.24. Slight downtick from last year. One of the things we had decided to do was, again, because we don't know what our revenues might be this year, we're trying to save a little bit of our surplus to go forward into next year. We'll use that community disaster loan from the federal government to cover it.
How much was it last year? You said it's slight downtick, how much was it last year?
1.3 million.
And now it's
750,000. Okay. The next line on there is marina slip rentals, 925,000. We actually take in usually around 1.2 million in marina revenues. Again, we anticipated slightly down on that this year. I think as Claire had stated, we have some slips that could be used because of electric, those types of items. It's being offset by this community disaster loan. So we didn't need to anticipate as much in our marina revenues this year because we have that loan to fall back on. The delinquent taxes, 625,000, that's pretty much staying steady. We did have a little bit of a decrease in our collections in November. You all had a lot more on your mind than paying your taxes. But you did all come in and pay right after the first of the year. So our collections are up, they're staying pretty steady. And that is just strictly for if somebody doesn't pay their taxes, they would pay them the following year. State aid, $423,499. It's one of those very tiny little lines down there, and it hasn't changed in over 5 years. State aid has stayed the same for the past 5 years. Interlocal services agreements. It is a small amount. It has actually gone up. We have several interlocal services with our surrounding towns, between our dispatch and with our police, our finance department, our municipal court. We're actually trying to share as much as we can with our other towns, cost of economies to save money. Grants, $51,659. Those are smaller grants that we do receive. We received DWI funds from the police department, a couple of other grants that we get.
Shops and houses.
Cops and shops, those types of items that we receive and we anticipate in budget. Construction code, again, slightly decreased that revenue this year, being offset by the community disaster loan. We did waive permit fees to get people back up and running for several months when they were fixing up their homes and stuff. So this year we're anticipating $63,000. Again, no tax increase in this year's budget. Our surplus. Blue line is what we actually anticipate in the budget, or what we have on January 1st. The burgundy line is what we're using in the budget, and the yellow line is what did we put back to surplus, so that we have it then again for the following year. As you can see this year, our surplus kind of dipped a little bit. Again, it was just at the end of the year, either tax collections weren't as good as they typically would have been, so we did have a small dip in our surplus at the end of the year. Going into this year though, as you can see, the burgundy line, we are dropping our use of surplus. Again, going to be offset by the community disaster loan, kind of hold some of our surplus in case our revenues don't hit this year. We would have at least half our surplus going back into next year. Okay, so in this, starting out the year, we had $1,374,000. We will be using $700,000. We used $1.3 million in the past. Okay. Our water and sewer utility. It's been a rainy season, and none of you have watered your lawns, so I have no hope, but that's okay. In this year's budget, for our other expenses, $2,560,000. So you're all aware, majority of that does go to outside agencies. New Jersey American Water, South Monmouth Regional Sewage Authority, and New Jersey Water Supply Authority. Over $2 million of that money goes directly to outside agencies who either give us some water or take our sewer. So not a lot of control over the other expense side of the budget. Capital and debt, $635,980. That's the burgundy line there. Yes. Slight uptick in that is we have appropriated $55,000 to replace the fire hydrants and things, and we've also appropriated $200,000 that we know we do have some sinkholes already happening in town from the hurricane, things like that, that will start making minor repairs that we can do in-house on our own.
You also have increased debt payment there?
And some increased interest on debt that we know we're gonna have to start paying with the bond orders that we just did. Salary wage, $306,000. This covers about Some of our Department of Public Works employees are gonna go out and read the meters, they install meters, those types of things. Again, as you can see, that yellow line as far as the employee costs have stayed pretty stable. The water and sewer billings, what we charge everybody is the biggest part of our revenue in this budget, $2.3 million. Has actually gone down a little bit. Again, slight low collections at the end of last year, so I didn't want to try and over anticipate what we might collect this year. Also within this budget, that special item of revenue, we'll just go right to that one. $760,000 we're anticipating also on this community disaster loan within our water utility budget. In case the revenues drop, we don't get collections in. We've already had a very wet spring, and all of your lawns look beautiful without using our water, which means we won't be billing you for it. That community disaster loan will help us make those revenues up this coming year. $332,882. Surplus again, we've kind of left it just slightly off, about $40,000, but we did have it to use this year, so we are using that within the budget. And reserve for capital debt, $55,000. This was actually money that we got back on a South Monmouth Regional Sewage Authority project. I believe I had $630, and we've been using it a little bit down every year to pay off debt that we actually owe back to South Monmouth Regional Sewage Authority. Okay. The water and sewer surplus. This is actually a very weighty line, but typically, as I said, especially in the water utility, very weather dependent. We have a very dry summer. Everybody uses lots of water. We bill you a lot. You pay us a lot. Very wet season this year. There is a good possibility we might not bill as much because people aren't using that water during the summertime. So that will cause our surplus to have a dip up and down. Again, as you can see, our surplus, the blue line, 2012 compared to 2013, did drop off. Majority of that had to do with the fourth quarter billing or first quarter billing that usually goes out in December, went out very late and was estimated. And a lot of payments were not made in December. Again, I understood it. Everybody had a lot more things on their mind. Payments did then hit in the beginning of this year for those payments, but I have to cut my budget off with numbers off on December 31st. So our surplus did drop a little bit. I anticipate that coming back because the payments did come in January. Beach utility.
That's good.
Everyone wants to go home, I know.
I was there.
I have to do this though, the state says so.
Doing a good job.
Okay, the beach utility. Again, being broken down as the state of New Jersey. Largest part of our beach utility is the salaries, $2.2 million. She's really rushing me. Your lifeguards, your bathroom attendants, your ticket collectors, is also Department of Public Works staff, beach cleaning, things like that. And then there is a portion of all of our full-time salaries, one police officer, things like that. A portion of my salary, I take care of all the finances, so that's everything to do with the salaries. Again, though, you can see a slight uptick. There were some small raises given out this year. So, other expenses, $1,125,000. That is to buy your garbage cans, your toilet paper, your beach benches, and all of that good stuff. The final part of that is the $2.3 million of debt. We have already received $2 million from FEMA. We have received money from our insurance companies. There is money being appropriated in this year's budget of $1.3 million to pay down on our debt from the hurricane. There are also additional funds being appropriated for other things that still need to go on down there that we're going to pay cash for. Also, I know we talked about buildings. At some point, we'll need to put a small down payment on those. So I believe we put in about $500,000 to $7,000. If we need to make a down payment on the start of the construction of those buildings, that's already been budgeted in this budget. Okay? Within the beach utility budget, we have the revenues to offset it. The blue line surplus, $950,000. Beach badges, $1,660,000, and I'm going to explain these as one group, if I could. The bottom line, reserve for debt payments, $1 million. It's money that we had received actually from FEMA, and we're putting towards this. The other miscellaneous line, the yellow, has gone like this. That is also our community disaster loan. The majority of our community disaster loan we are actually anticipating within our beach utility. That is the one budget that could possibly or potentially take the biggest hit if the tourism season does not come to fruition. As the mayor said before, yes, if we run into a problem, we don't want the taxpayers to have to pay for it. So when we received this loan, took a real good look at it, we decided that the majority of it would go towards the beach. because we knew we had these things to pay for, and we wanted to make sure we were gonna have the money to pay for it going forward, at least through this year and next year. So that's why that yellow line is so big, because the majority of our community disaster loan we'd be anticipating there. As Councilman McGovern already said, we have collected 1.3 million
Yes.
of that $1.6 million beach badge money. So we've already actually almost hit our number as to what we have to collect. What we'd like to see, though, is that that number go more towards 2.1 or 2.3 million, so that you're putting that $950,000 back into your surplus to have next year. Again, though, we always have that CDL loan this year to fall back on. It's one saving grace from the FEMA. Okay. The levy surplus of each fund. Okay, again, similar to our water utility, beach, weather dependent, surpluses can go up and down. We have stayed steady. We do have our dips, I think, who was talking about the rainy season in 2009, which is the second group. So Brian and Ms. Claire called it right. 2009 was our rainy season. You will see that because of the yellow line in 2009 was slightly down, means we didn't collect as much revenue. Going forward in 2011, we had Hurricane Irene at the end of the season. So we didn't have revenues for a few weeks, if you remember. So that's why the yellow line in 2011 is slightly low. 2012, we did regenerate actually more surplus than we used. Going into 2013, we are using, we have 1.5 million in surplus. We are using 950,000 of that, trying to reserve some of it going forward. Again, just because of this being such kind of an unknown year as to how things may end up at the end of the year, and then going into next year, we have some saved if needed. And I'm being conservative.
Conservative?
Or one of those.
Yeah.
The parking utility. Okay. Parking utility. Salary and wages, they're working hard. They were out there today with their little gadgets looking for everybody who didn't pay for their parking spaces. That covers some of the specials. We also have some small salaries just to maintain the parking meters, parking stations, I guess we're calling them now, that are down on the beach front. Other expenses, $39,500. We have to install them, we have to maintain them, we have to buy paper, things like that. Previous years, we had the meters themselves. That money was used to maintain those types of meters at that time. Capital and debt, we are making the first year payment on those new parking stations down there. They're being leased over 5 years, right? Over 5 years, so we'll have that payment going forward. Okay. Parking meter fees, $70,000. Typically, that actually comes in usually more about $100,000. Again, kept it low this year, just knowing that we weren't going to get them up and running immediately, and that we would start collecting them. Yes, sir.
Did you factor in the 90 spots that we're missing?
Yes.
How much are we losing?
It depends on how the season goes. One thing I just want to state is the parking revenues are actually split between the parking utility and the beachfront. 60% of the parking revenues go into our beach utility, 40% of them go in here. So for 90 spaces, $10 a day, $900 times 90 days, $8,100.
Robin, did the hours change for what we're charging down there?
My understanding is they're the same exact hours as before, and they're $1 an hour, which is what we were charging before.
What are the hours?
Good question.
8 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
I'm going 8 to 7, although some of us say 9 to 7, so that's why I go by 10.
I'm sorry?
Chief, take 7?
Okay. Okay. Surplus, $81,500. Our surplus was staying kind of steady. We kind of knew we were going to get to this process at some point, so we did use a little bit more of our surplus this year. Again, as the parking meters start going into effect, we start regenerating that surplus. We'll come back. Yes, ma'am.
Question on the
I'm
parking.
sorry, am I going being out of line? I was saying yes, people.
Are you okay, Rob? Some questions now, or do you
Or do you want to wait
till
for the public portion?
public hearing?
Well, let's do it now, it's almost 9.
Yeah, okay. Take them.
Whatever you're
Take them.
comfortable.
Take the questions.
I'll say no if I don't want to answer your question.
Just a quick question on the parking meters. We have the parking meters in the summer, the old ones came out in the winter. Are these stations going to be staying paid parking beachfront all year or just
No,
summer?
to my understanding anyway, it's the same schedule.
Same
They'll come
schedule?
down mid-September, end of September, I guess. Specifically, you promised the insurance company, because I have these insured, that these will come down at any given
End of
time.
season.
There's some bulk, they know how to do it, they're gonna be taken down, we're not gonna leave them out to be damaged.
Well, we're talking about the meters. All that time that we had no meters, I noticed, the specials spend a lot of their time, special police officers spend a lot of their time checking the meters. So did we like furlough them while we had no meters for them to read, or?
I asked more of a personnel question.
That's not a budget question.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I don't want to answer. I know I don't have a choice. Going to my parking, we went over parking. Surplus in our parking utility. As I said, with the blue line, we actually were kind of ramping up our surplus. We kind of knew at some point we were going to replace these. We've tested out and looked at the stanchions for a while, so we were trying to build up the surplus. Again, parking meters also very weather dependent. If we have a rainy day, even, and not just that they weren't up. And unfortunately, parking revenues are one thing you cannot make up. There's only so many spaces and only so many hours in a day. Whereas the beach, when it gets sunny out, maybe another 1,000 people will come because they've been cooped up. Parking, unfortunately, is parking. Once you lose the day, you can't make that back up. And we do budget to reflect that and decrease the revenues to almost maybe like 75% of what we typically take in. Never really anticipate more than that, just because we don't know what will happen with the weather. Okay, I'm done. It's the mayor and council. At this point, we open up.
As you can tell, Robin has done an outstanding grasp of this. Thank you, Robin. And my short seat.
I didn't do it, I didn't do it.
You should take credit for it anyway.
Just gonna stand the rest of it. Any questions from the council for our CFO?
Yes. Yeah, I do. With your municipal court salary and wage, we had a retirement there.
Municipal court salary wage, yes, we had a retirement, and we reduced that position down to a part-time season.
So we saved money there.
Yes.
Excellent. What else do I have? We're paying down our debt service pretty significantly. Is that correct? Was that my understanding?
We're increasing the debt service
Yes.
to pay down.
Yes.
This budget provides for an additional approximate $1.9 million in increased payments against the debt service.
What else do I have? I looked at this, I thought it was a beautifully prepared budget. I understood everything. Page 2, trust. Could you tell me about just one grant, Clean Communities Act grant?
That's a grant that we receive every year from the state of New Jersey. It's distributed depending upon the amount of recycling tonnage that you report from the 2 previous years that you've actually recycled. It's allocated to every municipality in the state of New Jersey. Typically, we allocate that towards manning the recycling center so that we have somebody there 6 days a week with those.
Now, I understand that the grants are at a minimum. They're not as available in all areas as they once were. Is that correct?
I think we do the best we can at getting any grants that we can. I haven't seen as many environmental kind of grants coming out
Yes.
recently. We had the energy block grants, things like that over the past few years. So, but we, at all the department heads, watch for grants, look for grants, and apply for whatever's out there. I know we got a recreation grant this year for a after-school type program that was actually applied for last year and received
Is
this
that
year.
the one for special needs?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that that was finally received. Wonderful.
It was awarded.
The mayor went online and accepted.
That is so, I have to report that to the ADA. Could you tell me that again, please?
How about I just give you a copy of the grant
Perfect.
tomorrow and I'll give you the.
We were waiting on that when Tina was here.
Yes.
Connolly, and then I lost sight of that. So that was fantastic.
Yes, also shade tree, I believe we have 3,000 in this year.
$3,000.
And forest program.
Just trying to get to be Tree City USA, yeah.
What was that after-school program, right after?
$8,000 total.
Great, a lot of good stuff. I think, please, what do I have right now? I'll reconnoiter, and then I'll be back.
Robin, how much do we lose in tax appeals after Sandy?
I don't have the total count right now. I know our actual assessments dropped a little over $6 million right off the bat. Just what the county did was typically the assessments were set in October of every year. The county actually held off setting the assessments until December 31st. If people mailed a letter into the assessor or if the assessor went out and inspected properties, he just reduced properties automatically. That caused about a $6 million reduction in our assessments. We did have over 100, I believe, tax appeals filed. I have gotten maybe about 50 of those back. It's been like kind of a 50-50 split. Some have received reductions, some haven't. I can get you an exact number, but I anticipated actually with this community disaster loan the potential of possibly another $10 million of drops in assessments due to tax bills.
So we're covered.
We're covered at this point, yes.
Anticipating.
Yes.
One other thing I just want to mention, because it is significant in the budget on our revenue side, is the community disaster loan. The total amount was, I think, 4.49 million, I call it 4.5 million. This is a loan that is forgivable 98% of the time. It's designed for reductions in revenue and unreimbursed expenses. So while in theory, it is a loan, in practice, it becomes a grant 98% of the time from the federal government. As much as we pay in taxes to the federal government, it'd be nice to get some of that money back, particularly at this time, and we could certainly use it with some decreases in revenue from Hurricane Sandy and some other expenses that we have as well. But I think that's important to highlight that while it's classified as a loan, 98% of the time it's forgiven. Any other questions or comments for CFO?
Yes,
From the council?
I just found one that with the SMRSA appropriation.
Actually, it's gone down 81,000. One of the things we had in 2011, we had Hurricane Irene.
Yes.
Very wet, rainy storm. Although you had flooding during Sandy, for some reason we didn't have as much infiltration. I can't figure out why. But our flows actually went down in 2012 when you thought they would have gone up. So we did see we saw a jump in 2011 to our SMRSA bill.
Yes.
And it hasn't come completely back down to 2010 levels, but it did drop.
$81,000. Wow, that's good.